Check at the jungle. What's up, you little males, females, and counterparts without the parts? The rainbow people. Huh? How y'all doing? Let me get a seat here. Finally got the caged animal known as my daughter put away in her box. She's no longer wound up. We wound her down. So it's time to cut some ads. This was an awesome episode with the man Lars Pruitt from everybody's favorite band, Yam House, on the verge of explosion. What was awesome about it is we got to kind of talk about the process of coming off the top of the world to reality such as a follow-up album. And we kind of got comparing it to some other entities that didn't really have the best. You can always tell there's something about the follow-up album that really kind of tells the story of how a person's career is going to play out. Look in the history of music, man. If they have a bunk second album, it's very rare that they rebound back from it. 50 Cent being one of them. His was just Get Rich or Die Trying. He was on top of the world. That's a big album to follow up. But what was the second one? The Massacre? I think it was The Massacre. And it was like, okay, but it was dope because of the features. And everybody's like, look at what J. Cole has done, dude. J. Cole just keeps getting better and better and better and better. He produces his own music. And on top of that, he doesn't have features. He creates a masterpiece. That's why Mike Posner's new album is just incredible. It's a masterpiece. Okay, so there's me talking about things I don't know. Let's talk about some sponsors because, man, I've had some people hopping on the wagon with me lately that I'm so blessed to have in my corner. And as you should know, tickets are now on sale. Pre-sales are right now, early birds. Those will be sold out by either the end of tonight, which is Wednesday, the 6th, or definitely by midnight tomorrow night. They'll all be sold out. And then regular ticket sale starts on Friday morning. That package is called the Stash Spot. So check it out on Eventbrite. That's our prop show coming up. It is going to be off the chain. It's going to sell out. It's already almost 25% sold out. So you don't want to miss out on this show. Prof is easily the top performer in the state right now. And I can honestly say Yam House is probably number 2. Honestly, if you've never seen a Yam House show, you need to go see a Yam House show. They're just on point. They show other bands that are openers for them and also other traveling bands how it's done. Yam House, they create an experience, just like Prof. Every single time Prof is on stage, he creates an experience. That's why people keep going back. That's why they always sell out. We're so lucky to have had this opportunity. I've worked so hard to get him over the last almost 2 years. You guys, what I sacrificed to book my guests, to book my speakers, it's bar none. Honestly, like to get Prof, this was a week before Get Me Gary V, and I got a ticket backstage, all access from Prof's manager, Mike, who I had been, talking to extensively for months. Like last year, we were trying to get Prof out here in the early spring, around the same time we're having him here this year, March, and it wasn't going to work out. We were unable to do it, to attack at full steam, but now we were patient, and I pulled it off, man, and I keep becoming more and more proud of myself, and I promise that's not coming from like an arrogant state. I keep grinding and pushing forward and meeting, connecting, and pursuing the right people along with building relationships with these people. You can't just expect to strike gold without making relationships along the way. I'm talking true, deep down relationships, the ones that you know are real and ones that you know you can keep working with this party future tense. So that's kind of what I've done with House Music Group. They are honestly an incredible band of debutantes to work with. Sorry, I couldn't come up with the name, but we're very lucky. And I never thought I'd see my logo right next to a Rhymesayers logo. That's incredible. I grew up listening to Atmosphere. Slug and Ant had the honor. Actually, it was at Prof's show for the X Games kickoff this past summer. I got to meet Ant for the first time. We talked soccer. Out of anything, we talked soccer. I don't know why, man. Okay, so our first actual sponsor from that is, and I can say it now, is Lapidary Jewelers, one of the top jewelers in the States. They supply a lot of Minnesota Vikings with jewelry. Honestly, Adam, when he took over after his dad, Diamond Don, died, say that 10 times fast. He hit the ground running. Adam is certified in all areas. He is a master jeweler, and this dude is always up to something, and I'm really proud to be working with Lapidary Jewelers now and to have them on board with our event. It's incredible. And we also announced today our third installment of Link and Drink, where we do a live podcast there. We take over the sound system. We take over the brewery. This one is at Finnegan's. Finnegan's Brewery downtown. This might be a relationship curating right now as we speak. Finnegan's, their entire team is just all aboard with what we're doing. And I have to thank my Fiddlehead family, especially Sarah, for linking me up with the team at Finnegan's. And I can officially say it now. Go on to Eventbrite and get your Link and Drink 003 tickets, as well as your Prof. It's called Pookie Baby Spring Break Rochester. Go get them on Eventbrite right now. You can get them at a cheaper rate. Make sure you go do that for the early bird special. And also Soltara Retreat Center. I love me some Soltara. I love going down, drinking the Jungle Brew. It helps me tap in. It keeps me focused. It keeps my chakric system aligned. I love it so much, and I'm always going to continue to go back. I'll be in Los Angeles this weekend visiting some of my homies that I met down. Not only at Soltara, I'll be visiting some of my Peru homies on Saturday. We're going to go to a market together. I've also spent some time with them in the Red Rocks in Las Vegas, just outside of Las Vegas. A few years ago, we ate mushrooms in the Red Rocks, and I took a nap in a cave, and it was incredible. Oh my gosh, it was incredible, you guys. You're just napping in a cave. Scorpion might walk by. Doesn't matter. Tarantula might come cuddle up. Doesn't even matter, man. You just welcome it. And that's how I take my life. That's how I approach my life. I am very, very proud of the person I've become. I'm very, very, very driven to keep connecting people. I want to just keep building these connections and making sure and seeing to it that all of us can have a smile at the end of the day, because honestly, we all owe it to ourselves. We're dealing with disastrous weather. Gnarly snowstorms up here, coldest days ever. Just like it's very easy to take the easy way out, if that makes sense. And the easy way out oftentimes is to be just a shitty person, to just not care, to just give up on everything. But honestly, we don't vibe towards people like that. And I think we all can agree we're the people that are driven, the people that are making the right decisions, the people that are pushing forward with love. Honestly, pushing forward with love and just carrying on with their day. If someone causes a shitstorm in their life, like this past weekend, I had someone just like go overboard with the disrespect, totally uncalled for, totally didn't know where their bread is buttered. And they just wanted to get, they were in the bag, you could say. And it just like, I could see it coming from a mile away when he's shadow boxing the air while we're smoking a J, about to go out to dinner. Yeah, that's when I know we might have some issues tonight. Went out, and sure enough, just starts talking smart, but it wasn't talking smart. It was actually talking very stupid and just berating me. And honestly, like, I have done such a great job of auditing my circle to keep acidic people who are guaranteed to bring down whatever they surround themselves with. It's no matter, that is the end game. If they go into public or they treat people who they should be respecting because they respect them like that, and they take it to that extent, that's where run away. Stay away from those people. They are no good. Don't even give them the time of day. If you argue, you just argued for 10 seconds too long. Doesn't matter. Leave it be. So, I let him have a little bit of peace of my mind, and I hopped in an Uber. I said, sayonara, see you later. And it's honestly, taking the high road is probably the best decision any of us can make, because what it does is it keeps backwash drama out of your life. You don't even have to worry about it. And honestly, I always try to come full circle with these kickoff rants in my ads to bring it around to the episode at hand. And this one with Lars Pruitt, we talked a lot about spirituality and religion, and that's kind of how we ended it. Lars is a man who you can tell he's tapped into something greater than himself, and that is something I try to keep in my life consistently, knowing I don't have the answers, I don't have a clue, but at the same time, I can still learn, and I should still be learning. And that's something whenever you come across somebody who has a deep faith-based life, they always have been able to tap into something greater than themselves, and it lives through them. And that's what Lars is. This man is a talent. He is a gem. Make sure you go check out Stargazer. They have Stargazer sessions coming up here. I think it's already sold out in the Twin Cities. But if you get lucky enough to ever see them, make sure you do. Enjoy the show. Before we get started, I want to tell you how crazy the universe is. For some reason, I got this feeling for Yam House's performance down in Rochester a few weeks before this interview. I got the feeling I wanted to up the ante. I was going to be emceeing the event. My boys were putting it on. So I got my buddy to dress up like a grandma. And he had a walker, a wig, fake glasses, he had a sweater on, pearl necklace, walked with a limp. It was just incredible. And I wanted to take people to Grandma's house. And so we did, and while Yam House was on stage, he walks in with his walker, and they're on stage going, "Go Grandma, go Grandma, go Grandma," playing a funky jam with it. It was just incredible. And my boy Reed, he drops down from the walker into the worm and shit, starts break dancing. It was incredible. Tore the house down. And fast forward 2 days before this interview, I reach out to the Facebook universe and I say, "Hey, you guys, I've got this interview. Does anyone have an office space downtown Minneapolis, anywhere in Minneapolis?" And sure enough, Larsy's mom got a hold of me. She saw it and she got a hold of me and said, "Well, actually, my mom and dad have a place downtown overlooking the river." And sure enough, it was Larsy's grandma and grandpa's house, penthouse, up top of this building where we did the interview. So if that ain't serendipity, I don't know what is. We took people to Graham's house, and then we really took you to Graham's house for this interview. Now, throughout it, I think there was 2 spots. The audio might have got a little weird. One of my cables was being wonky inside the recorder, but man, I love fateful instances like this. Just incredible. Enjoy the show.
I'm gonna be high as a fucking man.
And now, the stationary astronaut.
Have you eaten the mic the whole time?
Eat the
Dude, I love
Eat that mic.
I love eating the mic, dude. That's what I do.
Is it your favorite?
I literally do that.
Yeah, but haven't you ever stubbed your tooth on the microphone?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's the worst,
Part
dog.
of the gig, man. Part of the, work risk you take, it's just part of the deal. I love it.
Spitting teeth out on the crowd?
Yeah, baby.
Did you ever play hockey?
Yeah.
Because you have hockey hair.
I played hockey all the way through I was actually, that was the first thing I thought I was going to do something with in my life.
Right?
There was a time when I was in middle school, I thought I was going to play professional hockey.
For real?
Yeah, bro.
You have the jawline
Oh.
to be a pro hockey player.
Yeah.
You do.
I think, you know, I still am like that guy, like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite, who's like, man, I could have made it, man. You know how he's like sitting out, like practicing still?
Yeah.
Like that'll be me with hockey, man. I'll be in like my backyard shooting pucks when I'm in my like 40s and 50s. I'll be like, dude, I could have done it. I could have done it.
I could have done it. If you ever have kids, will you be one of those trophy dads?
What does that even mean? Like, oh, like he's hot? Like he's a hot dad?
He expects a lot out of his kids, and he wants to like live vicariously through them because they have a shot that he blew.
No, I won't.
Mm-hmm.
I will not force my kids to do anything. I just want my kids to know like how important it is to be loving.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything outside of that is like your choice.
Mm-hmm.
That's the buffet of life. You get to pick whatever you want to pick.
Yeah.
But love is the only thing I think that I want to really make sure they do.
Have you always been that way? Because it seems like you just radiate it naturally.
Well, no, actually. I was a really insecure, people-pleasing. I always liked attention. Mm-hmm. So early on in my life, I knew how to get attention. Mm-hmm. And I would do it in unhealthy, sort of like mean ways that put other people down. Mm-hmm. And that was sort of the story of my life from like, young childhood to like right around teenage time.
Were you class clown type?
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yep. I think I was in my senior class. You know how in like the yearbook they'll do like most likely to? I think mine was like most likely to like do my own stand-up routine or something. And they picked me and this other girl. They do like a guy and a girl for each category.
That's funny. I was just thinking of that while I was thinking of our conversation driving up here because I was voted most dramatic.
Oh, really?
Me and Courtney Bland, our senior year. And it just made sense because that was me, man. I was like starved for attention. Yes. So you get it in alternative ways oftentimes while at school.
Yep.
And then when it comes out where it's like, okay, we end up on stages, we end up with microphones, we end up being able to push the culture forward. And it's like all the teachers that doubted me, I was a basketball player. So they just think you're just some jock who acts out. All the while, it's like, no, I'm gonna change the game.
Yeah. Yeah, you're passionate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's cool. Early on, I was just talking about this the other day with a friend who works with youth. And I think like the biggest thing with youth that gets miscommunicated is like there's those kids like us that are sort of maybe acting out or like being a disruption. And we don't need somebody to like tell us, oh, that's
there
awesome.
we go. Jesus.
I love it. That was cool.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, keep going. We don't need somebody to tell us what.
We don't need anybody to tell us like stop breaking the rules. What we need is somebody to like love us and channel that, because like I think like kids just need to decide what they're going to use their power for, if especially attention seeking kids. I'll never forget it. I was in 5th grade and my principal, I was in the principal's office for being a jerk. This sounds really good now. You did good.
Yeah, it's really clean now. I knew I grabbed the wrong cord. I brought 3 and I grabbed one of the wrong ones.
Oh, that's all good.
We're golden, pony boy.
I love it. Anyway, she just told me, Lawrence, you have power. You get attention because you have power. Everybody has power. But the question is, how do you want to use that power? Do you want to use it for good or do you want to use it for evil? Do you want to use it for bad things? And this was just like a principal at my elementary school. I was in public school. It was just like, she just like dropped this bomb on me as like a 5th grader. And I remember being like, she's right though. Like I remember being like, man, I appreciated that she saw value in me. She didn't just write me off and say, you're a disruption, shut up and quit being a bad kid. It wasn't that. It was like, dude, you're valuable. But like, do you want to make the world a better place or do you want to make it more chaotic and more of like a burden for people? Because right now you're making it a burden with this XYZ situation. But like, you have the opportunity to use all your traits to like make people happy and excited and to feel loved and included. So I was like, dang, that like honestly in 5th grade, like totally opened up my mind a little bit.
it's amazing how there's typically 1, 2, or 3 teachers that stick with us, and they said the right thing to us at the right time.
Yeah.
I'll never forget high school. I was a jerk, and I walked out of class one day. I just wasn't feeling it, and Mr. Jorgensen followed me, and he was also a business professional. And he followed me, and he just knew, Nick, dude, you have something going right here. It's your spirit. It's how you carry yourself. You do make people laugh. You do bring the room up instead of bringing it down.
Yep.
And when a teacher will pull you aside and take the time, he didn't have to follow me out of class. Yeah. And he did. And it was almost like he backed me off of a ledge that day just by saying the right thing at the right time.
Totally.
You know?
It's so good.
I love it so much. And what also I love is when we can be adults and we can affect kids now.
Oh, yeah.
Because if we've had those happenings, chances are good we've made mistakes and we failed forward.
Yeah.
We don't have the cliche upbringing or the cliche A, B, C type of life where you go to college, you graduate college, you get that corporate job, you stay there for 40 years.
Totally.
That's rare nowadays.
Totally.
So being able to go back and affect the youth, speak at our high schools, I don't know if you do the same thing in Hudson.
Yeah, we had, just recently had the chance to do that.
How was it?
It was super fun. The teachers, a lot of them are still there that I went to high school, so it was really cool to see them. And fun fact too, the high school's been totally renovated now. In the 6 years since I've left high school, they've literally turned our high school into like a college-sized like mecca. It's like totally got redid.
Yo,
it's huge. I didn't even know my way around, and so we literally got like escorted. Suddenly we're in this like High School Musical like pavilion. Do you know how in that movie there's like the like grand entrance staircase? I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it literally looks like High School Musical at my high school now, and I'm just like starstruck. And I walk in, and then the entire, I think, senior class, or maybe seniors and juniors, were just sitting out on these like tables spread out. Yeah. And what's so cool is the principal that told me in 5th grade what I was just telling you about, she's now the principal at the high school.
Yo.
And she like literally asked me to come back and talk. And the 4 of us just got up there and told our story, where we're at, you know, what it was like to like try to figure out direction after high school and like with college and stuff, and kind of navigating that all out. I'm the only college dropout in Yam House. Patrick, Droney P., our manager, is also a college dropout. But he actually, you're not a college dropout. You never even went to college. That's
what?
Right. Yeah, he never even went.
Dude, I'm a college dropout too.
Respect.
I
actually respect Pat even more though, because he was just like so fearless. He knew right away, I'm getting straight to work. He was just like not messing around, which I respect.
Pat. Dude, college dropouts make the world go around.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you have a camera anywhere? I've got my phone rolling. Oh, cool, man. That's dope, no. Dude. Oh, dude, he's got freaking, big brother over there.
Yeah, baby.
Damn. Isn't it crazy when you go back and you're a grown man now? You know what I'm saying? You're a successful grown man. And you see some...
I'm a grown man.
You're a big boy.
I'm a big boy.
And shout out to Deckies. You're so young. You're still so young. But no, dude, you get like these teachers that are like... They kind of like, they see that, you turned yourself into something, and they kind of start looking at you different. They get a little hot and bothered.
Yeah. Well, it's between them and the Lord.
In the Lord. Okay, so what would you classify your writing style as? Because people try to kind of pigeonhole and compare Yam House, and much of it stems from you being the front man.
Sure.
What would you kind of compare? Where would you throw your guys' genre?
That is always the toughest question for at least for me to answer. I can pretty well speak for the guys too. It's definitely a hard thing to like classify yourself, because it almost feels creatively like unintuitive. Mm-hmm. Like the whole point of creativity is like, I'm trying to create something that's me. And then someone goes, okay, how are you like everybody else? And you go, wait, but that's not what I was trying to do. But there's definitely comparisons we've heard to like, just today or yesterday in City Pages, they compared us to Two Door Cinema Club and Bastille. I can see Bastille. Two Door Cinema Club's like this really cool indie band. I don't know where they're from, but I listened to them in high school a little bit. I've heard obviously like the Coldplay, Maroon 5 stuff, but that's, I don't know, definitely pop, because I think early on we made the decision, I listened to a really good speech by John Mayer. It was, excuse me, I just burped.
Like an adult.
Like an adult. I just had Cold Stone, by the way. ice cream before this. We were at the Mall of America.
Your grandma left fudge out for us.
Did she really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We are in my grandparents' condo right now. Can we just acknowledge that?
Hey, this is what we do. I like to have interviews be an experience as well.
Dude, this is so nostalgic for me. Like, anyways. Okay, so writing style, pop. I think that's a funny word. John Mayer described it. Oftentimes people hear that in musical circles. They hear pop is like a bad word because it almost sounds like you're like a sellout or you're like trying to make art that's just purely commercial. You're just trying to sell something rather than like make a beautiful piece of art no matter what it sells. But the truth is, it's really not. It's a format, just like indie is a format, just like jazz is a format. And I think art is deeper than the formats we choose. I think a good painting and a good song and a good book, when they're done right, all can kind of do the similar thing where it like connects you to the human experience in a profound way that feels really true and relatable to what you've experienced. And that's what's so cool about art. So we want to be definitely true artists. And that is not a question of chords or song structures or melodies. That is a question of the heart. So I feel really confident in that. And that's why I'm not really afraid of anybody labeling us whatever they want to label us. I would say from a completely objective perspective, we are pop because we are trying to make music that is as melodically inviting and easy to understand and easy to like enjoy for as many people as possible. Not music snobs. We're not leaning to music snobs to like us. And we're not going to lean to somebody like who lives a certain lifestyle to like us. We're just going to make art that comes from where we're at in the format of pop music. And I think that's like the oldest thing that's been happening since the Beatles really, or Elvis. I mean, that's just music and it's always changing. Pop music, pop just means popular. Pop just means a lot of people access this music and vibe with it. And jazz is a harder time. Jazz is beautiful. Jazz is amazing. The more you know about music, the more you appreciate jazz, I think, and are just perplexed by it. But like that's a tougher, accessible thing for somebody just off the streets who doesn't know a lot about music to get into, although it is kind of nice to have in the background. Same with like a lot of indie music that's really eclectic or crazy. It's harder for like my grandma to, here we are at my grandparents, it's harder for like my grandparents to get into like a really indie band, although they love jazz. But like pop music, when it's done right, your grandma, your aunt, your cousin, your teenage brother, your toddler, all can go like, something's happening here. And that's what we're aiming for, really. So
that's what really makes me so vibe worthy with Imagine Dragons.
Yeah, they're nailing the pop thing right now.
Bro.
And you can criticize them, you can not like them, but you got to respect that. It's not easy. That's the funny thing about pop is like, oh, you don't like pop? Why don't you try it? Like, or you think it's this sellout thing? Why don't you try to write in 3 minutes something that makes almost anybody go, this is good.
And then do it again next year and the year after. That's why Maroon 5 catches all this flack. Oh my gosh. The fact that they're still on top of the world about to perform at the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter if you like their music, you better respect it.
Amen. Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. We were talking a few weeks ago about kind of you guys being on the verge, kind of where Owl City was at one time.
Sure.
And I'm comparing you to them just because we're coming out of Minnesota here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in regards to how they blew up, ending up doing songs with Carly Rae Jepsen when she's on fire.
Totally.
You know, taking over the world. And to maintain that is
totally.
It's borderline impossible.
Yep.
Even Kanye had an off album. Even Jay-Z has had off albums.
Yep.
But to be able to pull from the ether more world-shaping creativity, where is yours coming from?
Yeah. It comes from, man, it's really hard to describe. There's a deep part of who everybody is that I think is hard to put your finger on. That like you get a sense of, even at a young age. The most easy way to describe it, I think all of us are really good parrots. You know, like I think there is a source. I think there's a source that loves everybody and that made this experience to some capacity and gave us the ability to make it along with that source. But I think musically and culturally, there's very few things that didn't come from something. So really, Yam House and like our music is basically at this point in time with the music that we currently have released in our first album, that is the product of my personal life going through some life lessons that were really challenging, going through a broken relationship that was really challenging, growing up in a pretty quick way with a couple of intense life sort of experiences, while at the same time really loving certain types of music and really like wanting to make music that we enjoy, which tends to be, I really like Coldplay, and I'm not ashamed of that, or like, I don't really care if anybody agrees with that or not. I like that. Does that mean that I'm going to go exactly make a Coldplay record? No. But even Coldplay will tell you, like, they're the best imitators in the world. Coldplay is one who, like, time and time again, they just keep making big records and records that people, even in like music snob world, a lot of which enjoy. And that's a tough thing to do. So I don't know. I think there's two types of music, good and bad. And we're trying to make good music. And the only judge really that can begin with is us. So
Absolutely. And there's a musical algorithm.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I bob my head to a certain beats per minute.
Sure.
There's a reason why certain chords really radiate with us.
Yeah, absolutely. There are. Yeah.
Have you listened to the new Mike Posner album?
I just heard the single with the music video.
Lars.
And it took me somewhere.
Get it together, bro.
Dude, that first song, what is it called again?
God, which one is it?
Move On. Yeah.
Yeah, Move On. Yeah,
Yeah.
about his dad.
What was powerful about that one for me, ironically, from like a musical standpoint, the first time I heard the song was when I watched the video. And after I watched it, I was so moved by the video that I didn't even really listen to the song. It didn't really catch my attention. And I remember thinking, the song, whatever, that video, that story, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then I watched it like 2-3 more times. And I literally I was like, I wish I almost could have heard the song first so that I could judge the song for what it was. Because I love it, but I'm almost worried. I almost was like, I think I like the video more than I like the song.
Yeah.
Just because it was so real. Yep. That was refreshing. He just threw his phone up and just talked to us.
Bro, and his introduction to the album is him announcing this is 40 minutes and I want it to be undisturbed. If you are going to lose your attention, I don't want you to listen to it.
No
and
way.
because it is a masterpiece, it's just one. Listen to the whole thing.
What is it called, dude?
It's
I'm going to save it right now.
Mike Posner. I've been listening to it on Spotify on repeat. Let's actually do it justice and tell everybody what it is, because
Let's do
it like the entire song, it's like an emotional roller coaster.
A Real Good Kid?
Yeah, Real Good Kid.
Dude.
And hey, Raph, welcome to the party, big boy, dude. Raph,
Hey, Raph.
Hey, meet Lars.
Hey, man, I'm Lars.
Hey,
Nice to meet you.
this is Lars's grandma and grandpa's
welcome.
condo. Yeah, bro. Hey, I got the camera right there. If you just want to grab some shots, we'll chit chat afterwards. I brought you a hoodie, you big boy. I brought you an edible too. We'll take you to the cosmos, you big boy. Okay, so in regards to, because I think he actually had the lead singer of Coldplay strum up and start one of his songs on that
really?
album, and then they threw a voice changer on it, and it just goes in. They drop the beat, but
Dude, I can't wait to listen to it.
I like where creativity in music is being pushed. Where Kendrick Lamar did a lot for the hip hop game, and people don't actually all of music, and people didn't even know it. And then he went to a full jazz album. In a nutshell, all live sound.
To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah, To Pimp a Butterfly. And then that was the one that won the awards, right? After he got shafted from Macklemore the year prior.
Yeah, so that one was super critically acclaimed.
Yep. Yes.
But what's unique is, like, this ties into what we're talking about. That's not a pop album. But I would argue Good Kid, Mad City is kind of a pop album.
Yep.
Like Swimming Pools. Like, I loved that album as like a freshman in college. Like, I turned that on, and I remember people who don't care about music, don't care about hip-hop would go, what is that? That's really good. And if I did that with To Pimp a Butterfly, it would just be like, what's this weird eclectic jazz thing you have on? And it was harder for me to get into it because I'm a sucker for pop.
Yep.
But it's so critically deep and beautiful. That record is
that
unbelievable.
conversation with Tupac at the end.
Oh, my gosh. Dude, where's this thing going, man? They're like trying to figure it out. I was just like, dang. I know. That was like an out-of-body, like, this is... Wow. That's
It
powerful.
was. I love when boundaries are pushed, and I think
Yeah.
those are the people who really reshape music as a whole. Look at what Elvis Presley did. Just not even with the music, with his hip thrusts and how he danced on stage.
Yes.
And now we got Larsy on stage with tight everything. He's got his pants pulled up. He's got his Vans on, and it's like, what is this dude doing? We don't know. And I like it when boundaries are pushed to the point where you can't compare it, because the one thing that people always want to do is they want to jump to a comparison, and we fall victim to it.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, totally.
Same thing with like podcast interviews, where it's like, okay, man, I'm comparing him to him or her to her, whatever that may be. And when you're uncomparable, that's where you've done something correct. You know, and you're reshaping the game.
Well, it's an interesting time. I don't know for uncomparable. I'm honored that you say that. I think it's interesting because the pop phenomenon of pop culture, that word, is, if you look at like the history of the earth, like a very, very new idea. But yet it's so much has happened since Elvis first shook his hips on the Ed Sullivan Show. They literally like were trying to move the camera so that they couldn't see his hips, because that's how like the society was like at that time. Like, we can't have a guy shaking his hips. I mean, can you imagine like how different of a time? Dude, like imagine if like they're like, man, you can't have that tight of a, pair of pants on, like, or whatever. I don't know. But so much has happened since that moment. And I just finished a Bruce Springsteen autobiography called Born to Run.
Okay.
And you should read it, because he was sort of, I got into the Beatles and I got into Elvis about a year ago, just like at least studying them, for sure getting into the Beatles music. Elvis, I haven't gotten to his music yet. I know his story is a lot more tragic. Actually, so are the Beatles story too. But what happened in that moment in history was such an inflection point for what began. The Beatles, okay, the world exists. I can't remember the date, but it's sometime in 1964. And a band, if I were to say the word band to you, it would probably mean like a 30-piece Frank Sinatra accompaniment, like arranged big band.
Entire ensemble.
An ensemble. And then suddenly, flash forward to the end of that day that I told you that, you put on the TV and every American watches a band called the Beatles with 3 guitars, 1 drum, and 4 vocals. And the next morning, there are 2,000 bands of kids going to their garage, going to the music store. I'm buying a guitar. That we are a ripple of that. Like, everything comes back to that moment. And Bruce Springsteen in his book kind of talks about that, because then he was the next ripple, many others in that generation. But it's just generation after generation. And will we be able to, the Beatles copied things, the Elvis copied things, but you're right. What's that thing that's, what is your stamp on it? And I'm trying to still figure that out. I think we're just trying to do right by the opportunities we've been given, and not be afraid to break rules, not be afraid to do things that might not work. I think that's the secret in a lot of ways. This next record we're making, we haven't been talking about it a lot. We're not promoting it, but the truth is we're making another album right now. And now I think I'm really proud of what's happened already, because I think there's a beautiful creative risk you take when you try something that you're not sure it's going to work, but you just try it anyways. It's like failing forward or whatever. And we had some songs come out of that mindset, a dozen songs that I really think, at least for where we're at, are really going to help like make something feel fresh and new in us. So I'm really excited about it.
What do you think was harder, given you're in the process right now? The kickoff album, the debut album, or the follow-up?
Well, we only had that debut album, the kickoff album. It's the same thing. We just had 1 record. And that, I would say probably I know the typical like sophomore album is typically tougher.
Yep.
And the whole time we've been doing this process, I've been telling myself that this is going to be harder. Don't get your hopes up. But strangely enough, it has been going really well. I shouldn't jinx it, because it's not done being made. Like, we're still tracking it.
You guys aren't banging heroin, though.
That helps.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're not like running around from town to town, like getting incredibly intoxicated and like out of our minds. And then like people with a lot of money are looking at us like, all right, album 2 now, we need it now. Like we knew that was a danger. And so as soon as we dropped album 1, even though we were a no-name band, and we still in many capacities are a no-name band, but we're just like grinding, trying to tour, trying to play more, trying to knock down doors, get opportunities. But at the same time, right away, we got to work on the second album before there was anybody telling us it had to be done. And so we've been really intentional about, I think, making that not feel like a rushed process, which is why I think sophomore albums tend to feel tougher to conjure. Because true creativity can't be just like forced.
Nope.
But you can prioritize it. So you can create time and space in your schedule, in your life, in your emotional capacity, your tank, to say, hey, I'm saving some of this tank to just be, and then observe that and create from that. And life experience is the fodder for true creativity. So we can't just like not exist. But anyways.
What's the inspiration for this album? Is it Seth's marriage?
Yeah, it's all about marriage. It's all about marital sex.
Sex.
It's like a sex record.
Did you hear that, kids? Marital sex.
The best kind. Yeah. No, we met some people. We had the opportunity to play some shows with some bigger bands. And I remember going into it, hearing about, I'm not going to name any of the bands, but I remember knowing about this band, knowing that it's a really big song, really big couple songs that are big. We loved them. We were like, man, we can't wait to meet these guys. And we got to the gig, and we were there early setting up, and we just never saw them. And all of a sudden we saw a few different things, and like of them walking in and out of their trailer, and they looked miserable. They looked like they didn't want to be there. They looked like resentful, almost like, it kind of reminds me, it's the same concept of like the person who's like taking your order at a restaurant and they're like mad. And you're like, why are you mad at me? Like you have this job and you asked for this job and now you're working this job. And yeah, I get it. Life is stressful. You're probably tired. Maybe something's going on. Maybe, somebody's been a jerk to you or whatever. I'm sure there's like a reason, but like, why are you like mad at me? I'm just like a customer coming here, and like you don't have to be here. I didn't ask for you to be mad that you have your job. So I felt similarly with these guys. And then it made me so excited to like learn more about them actually, because I watched how they interacted with people, and I heard multiple people who were working that gig complain to me about, dude, those guys were dicks. Like they literally said something or whatever. Like, again, I don't want to get too personal with it, but I remember they are like what I think rock stars we were told should be. And we found that in the industry, people will say to us, you guys are just so nice. I can't believe how nice you are. Like, we were just on the Jason show, and Jason and all of his staff were just like raving about how nice we were. And we were laughing like, we don't even feel like we're that nice. It's like nowadays, it's like not being a dick makes you nice. And I'm like, I can't even, like, I know nice people. I am not one of them. Like, ask Patrick, like, ask our manager, like, if there are like nice people in the world, I am probably like right in the middle. And yet in this industry, if you just like shake hands, smile, do the job that you were asked to do, people are like, what a saint. You are such a nice guy. And I'm like, this is what makes us nice. So anyways, that experience sort of inspired a lot of topical writing about what is a rock star? What does that even mean? What is a rock star to me? Who are my rock stars? And there's a lot of reflective stuff. Like my mom is one of my biggest favorite rock stars.
Mama Haus.
Yeah, she actually was in a band when I was young. And like, I remember really early on in my life going to my mom's shows and seeing her play live and stuff. And she was a songwriter and super talented piano player and singer. And like, yeah, so she's my idea of a rock star. So I'm a lot of it was exploring what is a rock star? Why are people put on this pedestal, and what does that mean? What is their obligation? What is their duty to society? How do rock stars play a role? And Post Malone's a rock star. I mean, rock star does not mean to me a guitar in your hand, tight pants, big hair. I happen to like all those things. But so yeah, there's a little bit of that going on. And there's also a little bit of like what we've been through in terms of the perception and the chase of success or fame. It's a very, very interesting world where 1 second somebody's telling you oh my gosh, you guys probably have the best life ever. And like, you're doing it. And like, I can't believe I'm talking to you right now. Yeah. And then you go play for 10 bored people. Well, by the end they weren't bored, but you play for 10 people in Chicago who are just like, you know, and they don't know who you are. They don't care. And then also you got to like still be a human who like talks to his mom and like does his laundry and like washes dishes. And like, I don't know, it's almost kind of like the chase or the thrill of perception and how that's a funny thing. So I don't know. We don't have a brand for it yet, but we have a direction for songs that we're chasing down. We're just trying to make probably like 10 to 15 really good songs.
Yeah. You broke down how important it is to not meet your heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fun to do so because it's a bucket list item.
Sure.
But at the same time, bro, it's not always worth throwing that feather in your cap. Meeting your heroes is dangerous.
Totally.
Because with the light that you've grown to love, when you see the darkness, you see how they interact with fans or people or wait staff, anything like that. Yeah. It really kind of brings you back down to ground zero. And it's important not to get tainted. And my favorite artists are the ones who always stayed hungry. Like the J. Coles of the world.
Oh my gosh,
the Eminems of the world. Yeah. Where they always just kept themselves cultured. They didn't ever lose a grasp on what real life is. They kept driving freaking Kia Optimas when they could have been driving Bentleys.
I love it.
You know?
I love that. Yeah.
Stayed humble.
Absolutely.
Still didn't take their shoes off at Granny's house.
Yeah, which I'll probably get in trouble for that.
We might have to spotlight that because
spotlight these shoes right now.
That's an ultimate party foul right there, bro. I even took off my shoes in Granny's house.
I know. Yeah, I know the protocol around here. I think they're pretty lax about it.
I'm not gonna lie,
product of my family.
Not gonna lie, your grandma, like, she was offering all the goods, dude. She was trying to pour shots of freaking triple thick freaking malt liquor. She was like trying to get us freaking under the influence.
She's hospitable.
Yeah,
in every capacity.
I could tell.
My grandparents are some of my biggest influences as well. Like the people that own this condo we're sitting in. Yeah, they are like. They're the kind of people, it's almost like I want to be like them where like, and like what you're describing, like in many ways my grandparents are my heroes, but they are the same people. My grandma was the first female chairman of the board of the American Cancer Society, and they had her speak internationally and nationally for like 10, 15, 20 years and really made a difference in cancer research and like got really involved with a lot of different nonprofit stuff and made a big dent. And she never made $1 doing it because she wanted to be a volunteer. My grandpa made enough money for them to not have to worry about that. But they're just the type of people like you're describing where like they stay hungry and they're the same people on stage as they are off stage. And life is crazy. They're stressed. They work hard, but they always keep like a pretty consistent set of like how they want to be and their values, which I just like, I love that. And they're very generous people. So are my parents, just like mi casa, su casa.
You could definitely tell when I was working this out with your mom to set this up.
Yeah.
She was just like telling me how excited your grandparents were and how they'll do anything for Larsy, anything.
Oh my gosh.
No, but like that right there, because, you know, our favorite artists oftentimes came from broken homes and just like inhospitable to the point, you know, Kurt Cobain ends up on heroin dying. Yeah. They were our favorite artists for the time being. Tupac's upbringing, mother in and out of jail, single parent household, drugs all around. And it's like, yeah, it's all glamorous when they make it, but they're an outlier. The 99.9% of the time they don't make it. The ones that make it, the ones that end up happy, not dead or strung out. Yeah. They're the ones who had a supportive upbringing, a supportive household. They had supportive grandparents who will let us use their condo for an interview. Yep. To build some clout. Where do you see Yam House in a year?
Yam House in a year, I see a really great album out that I'm really proud of and that I'm ready to sort of like strap on the boots and the work gloves to like really fight for, to get attention for it. I think it'll also get a lot of attention on its own. I think it'll have a lot of merit. Just like listening to it for a random person will make them want to go, holy smokes, have you heard this? I think our first album had a little bit of that. but not like over the edge amount. Like it was a very line drive down center field album. Safe, good, honest. I'm proud of it. I'll always be proud of it. I feel good about it. Just like, yeah, it's a great little pop record. But this next record, I think, yeah, I see that record being either just coming out or having just been out or just about to come out. And I see some more people in the industry at sort of a higher level starting to pay attention. And whether that's positive or negative, we'll see. You can't really know, how it's going to be perceived. But I picture us, man, just honkering down on the same values and the same things that we cared about when we started. That needs to stay the same. Otherwise, I don't want to do this. And I'll be pretty hardcore about that. And I feel really good about that. Like, I want our core team to be excited and still moving in the direction we're moving now. Hopefully it's just more and bigger. I would love to see us at a big major festival. I'd love to see us take on some of the stadium filling arenas of the music industry and see if we can make a dent.
Do you have a spiritual practice?
I am a practicing Christian by most people's standards.
Okay. Does that stem from your childhood, or were you born again Christian, or? Not at all.
I was 17 years old. I didn't grow up in the church. My parents are not religious at all. They're very good people. Like I said, they're very generous people, but they're not religious, spouting the truth people that would ever force that on me. I would say my dad is an agnostic, and I would say my mom is a mystic.
Yeah, to say the least.
She just got me this wizard ring the other day.
Your
and was
mom,
like telling me about it.
Your mom is tapped in, dog.
Dude, my mom she's on a different level than most that I've ever met. Like, people think they can freak me out, and it's like, dude, you haven't met my mom. Like, you think you're weird? Like, nice try. Like, we meet so many people, and they're like, I'm so weird. You're not gonna believe this. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna believe this. Like, I hear the weirdest stuff from my mom on a very regular basis about astrology, about you name it, energy, chakras. I mean, name the thing, and I guarantee you my mom has studied it to some degree. She's just one of the strangest, most driven, hungry mystics, and it's led her to a plethora of different places. I think she's at a really good place now, better than she's ever been. But yeah, I didn't grow up in a Christian home, which I'm actually really grateful for, because I think in postmodern society, I think America is a lot like Rome was in the time that Jesus was alive.
Yes.
And it's ironic because when Jesus was alive, Rome had a different set of religion, and Jesus came on the scene and really challenged that in a really powerful way, in a really radical way for its time. And it started something that couldn't be stopped, all based on a few really important, pivotal ideas that he really did prove to be who he said he was by showing up after he was supposedly dead and crucified to some witnesses. And then those people went out and literally screamed at and said that really happened, and they were willing to die for it, disciples early on, which the fact that we know that and are still talking about it, and historically the timing from when those documents were written down and when those events occurred is really crazy to me. All that to say, I was a 17-year-old kid, really strung out on why am I here? I was kind of depressed. I was angry. I actually got into it with my family. There's some things going on at home that just made me a dick and lash out. And I was feeling a lot of pressure and stress, and I really broke down. And it's the classic within Christendom. You hear this story all the time because it's just kind of how it works. You get to the bottom and the end of your rope of who you are and what you can stand on your own merits. And you realize at some point, at least some do, that they on their own are really not figuring it out. And it's really hard. I think everybody has a degree of that. I mean, that's why people battle depression and anxiety and you name it.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Jesus, take the wheel. Yeah, that was totally check 1, 2. Jesus, take the wheel. Yeah, that was totally my story. And what's awesome is I still am the same kid that used to rip on the church and didn't get religion, and I still don't get religion. I don't think religion is the answer to anybody's prayer, but I know for me that Jesus was the answer to my prayers. And it's not Santa Claus is coming to town story. I think evolution is real. I think science is real. I think people that treat the Bible like it's a science book or a history book are missing the whole point. I think the Bible is an unbelievably well-written. First of all, it's not a book. It's a library. It's a selection that some people selected, and you can get really into it when you look into the history of who picked what books to make it in the Bible. There's some politics there. Humans are the most cunningly manipulative and sketchy creatures to ever walk the earth. If you don't believe me, ask any animal or tree.
Ask the orcas.
Ask the orcas. So that to me is old news when people are like, man, how can you be a Christian with all this stuff the church has done? I'm like, dude, what else is freaking new? Like, I'm sorry. Tell me one organized group of people over a span of time that haven't committed atrocities. And I will be, okay, I'll believe in that.
An example I use is Leonardo da Vinci. We worship the ground he walks on.
Come on.
Meanwhile, he was allowed to dissect bodies in the basement of the Vatican with a little boy toy.
Dude.
So, like, there's ebbs and flows. There's yin and yang. There's good. There's evil.
Yes.
Like,
it's not black and white.
Same thing like in the Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12 steps. Guess what? There are people who have mastered the 12 steps who 13 step it, where they sleep with women in the program. Bro, it doesn't mean he can't go motivate a room.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So there's nobody doesn't have blood on their hands. We all have blood on our hands. And that's, to me, that's why Christ makes sense. Because something has to give. If we are like living out our truth on the operation of give and take and like, I love capitalism. I got nothing against it. I mean, I got something against everything, to be honest. But if you're purely basing friendship or love off, if you do this, you'll get this, at some point, that's going to be a dead end. So that's why grace, that concept, to me, is the only thing I can bank on. I love the teachings of Buddha. I love the teachings of the Quran. I love, like, there's a lot of merit that we all can observe within the way that the world works. You know, it's better to, treat others with kindness. That's a good thing. But at the end of the day, the question that Jesus answers that I haven't found any other like lifestyle, like theory answer is what happens when it doesn't make sense. What happens when it doesn't add up? What happens when you fail? Not only others, but yourself. And that's why, to me, grace is just something that I live on. That's like it's the only thing that allows me to keep doing this. Because some days I'm like, why am I even doing this? Like, I don't even want people to like, I want attention, but not this much. And not if it's going to like get me hated, or not if it's going to like, people are going to judge me. What are they going to think? And like, that's the 17, 16-year-old Lawrence literally trying to please people, make other people happy. And today I know who I am and who I'm not. And I'm comfortable with that. Yam House is not a Christian band because I don't think a band can be really Christian. I think people can praise and worship. That's a great thing. But Yam House is not a praise and worship band. We don't praise or worship God. We are just four dudes who all happen to be Christians playing music in a band, trying to do the same thing everybody else is doing, which is sharing in the life experience and writing and singing and breathing that together. I get pretty defensive if people try to call us a Christian band, even if it makes me look bad, because I'm like, dude, we're not a Christian band. I'm sorry.
I've been to your guys' shows. You guys sell beer at your shows.
You're damn right we do. And sometimes I say fuck.
Oh my God.
Can you believe it?
This man did it. I wasn't sure if we were going to get it out of him.
Wow, I love it.
Do you, with that mind state and how you just broke it down, do you think that has helped push you towards your higher purpose?
Absolutely, man. I think it took the pressure off of me having my life be a performance that I either succeed or fail in. And it took me into this place, like I was telling you right at the beginning, like with my kids. Love is literally, I mean, what's funny is people who aren't even like Judaic Christian value based people find this truth as well. Love is all that matters. And Christ nailed it. Not to be, no pun intended with the nails in his hand, but he literally nailed that. Like Nothing you do, whether it's right or wrong or big or small, matters if it's not done out of love. Mm-hmm. And so that is my purpose. My purpose is to have everybody feel loved. I think that the Christ teaching is one of the best bets you can find. Am I going to be mad at you if you don't agree? Absolutely not. Because my teaching tells me that if you don't agree with me, well, that literally doesn't change the fact that I'm just supposed to love the crap out of you, period. If you're this, if you're that, it gets so controversial so quick, and we make it so much more complicated than it needs to be. Let people be people. Mm-hmm. I'm not a police officer of anybody's actions. And I know that no matter how far I fail or how much I stray or if I'm off the mark, like I laugh thinking about, somebody was laughing the other day, is like, can you imagine, even if homosexuality was a sin, like even if, like let's skip to pretending you think that's a sin, which I'm not even sure I do, really. But let's pretend that you believe that and you're a Christian. Can you imagine getting into heaven knowing the God that we've read about in scriptures and the God that you say you've experienced, and you get to heaven and he's like, all right, let me check your performance before you get into heaven, which is, first of all, is a stupid idea, but let's pretend he's going to do that. And he's going to go, okay, you loved me, you loved other people, you gave money to the poor, you took care of sick people, you lived humbly. But I'm looking here and it seems like you were kind of easy on the gays. Like, you should have been way more hardcore mean to them. Like, really? Could you ever picture that? Like, but where? I can't imagine.
You donated all your time, but you loved the wieners.
Yeah, but you were fine with people getting married and deserving the right to be married, or like I wanted you to be more hateful to those people. Like, I can't even believe it. And if that makes people within the church hate us, then so be it. That's why sometimes the only time I stress is when I think about this, and God always helps me. But I always think, like, man, the world is going to hate us and the church is going to hate us. Like we're just out here doing us, man. Like, we love you. We love the world. We love the church. We're probably going to say things that offend both. Yep. I have no problem with anybody, but I know that people will have a problem with us. So.
Do you know what our big 21st century test is? And I'm seeing this so much, and it's breaking my heart, is all this hate for the red hats.
Sure.
The people who are wearing the red hats.
Sure.
Because no one ends up the way they are. They are formed.
Sure.
And these kids who are wearing these red hats, who are obviously, they're ignorantly wearing the red hat, but it's like, wait a minute, we need to understand, and we need to unconditionally love.
You can't heal something unless you understand it. And it's dangerous. I think criticism of Donald Trump is a very healthy thing. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, that's a good thing. Every president is signing up to be criticized. Yep. And if they don't get that, they're an idiot. Mm-hmm. So I often call Donald Trump an idiot just based on that.
Yep.
But somebody who's just trying to wrap their head around this whole picture, who has a background of influences and parents that tell them this, and they have a construct that they've been handed that has led them to be supportive, that when we just start blindly hating people based on what an outward thing we see, we are now committing the same exact crime we are saying we're trying to stop.
Yep.
And so if that's what you're saying, I couldn't agree more. Like, those kids in that video, I read a little bit more about it. At first I was like, dang, this looks really bad. And it just looks, and they were kind of being punky. Like, they're of just course. Like, which is a bummer.
Who you were, I was, we weren't
exactly,
probably not to that level, but at the same time, dude, we were little dicks.
Yes. And so it's a bummer. I saw the video there was a group of dudes preaching some pretty nasty stuff that was sort of stewing the area up with some hostility. And then these stupid kids come in with the red hats on and kind of take the brunt of everything that just happened. So I actually felt bad. I don't know. I think if more people listened before they spoke and observed before they reported, I think it would be a better place. If we all stayed vigilant, because we need to stay vigilant. We do need to speak out when we see hateful things being said, comments. And that's why we're not a political band. I'm not trying to get into the political landscape because of how divisive it is. We need Democrats, Christians, Republicans, atheists, Buddhists, Muslims. We need everybody. We need them all at our shows because that's our goal. That's what I want to do. I want to be the biggest band in the world. So I'm not about to say something that's going to completely block off a whole people group from feeling comfortable coming to our shows.
We're bipartisan bridge builders.
That's right, baby.
That's what we are.
That's right.
And that's kind of what Stationary Astronaut represents and what I know Yam House represents,
Yeah.
where it's
That's why
like,
we love you, man.
bro, we glow up, man.
And we don't have to, agreeing is not the end game.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you can get over that, I think your life can be set free. Love is the end game. And the only thing I will disagree with is something that's unloving. The only thing I will fight you on is if I saw you be addicted to somebody. I'd be like, dude, that wasn't cool.
Yep.
Like you literally like stopped them from allowing them to be a human. It gets complicated when we start to put our values on other people and expect them to have the same values as us. But I'm talking like real injustice. That's the only thing. Everything else is just like, dude, awesome. That's where you're at. I love it. Tell me more. I want to learn too.
There's no excuse not to be self-aware in the 21st century. We see all walks of life all day scrolling down timelines. There's no reason to not be able to pay attention and know when a waiter or waitress is having a bad day. Totally. Show them a little love.
Show them love. That's right, baby.
It's all love, baby.
I love you, man.
I love you.
Thank you for having me.
I want to tell you happy birthday.
Thank you. It's when midnight strikes tonight. It'll be my birthday.
Isn't it crazy? I wasn't even planning this. The night you guys came down to Rochester, we had the show. You know, we took people to Graham's house and we had the grandma in the walker.
Yes.
Boogieing on the dance floor. We're literally at Graham's house right now.
That is actually crazy.
Yo.
That is crazy, yo.
Well, thank you to Mama House, Kate.
Yep.
We couldn't have done it without her.
Yeah,
Thanks
love
to
you, Mom.
Patrick as well.
Yes.
This is awesome. We'll let you
Yep.
know when it's going to drop.
Can't wait.
Shh.
Guess I'm a stationary astronaut now.
Yes, you are,
Stay
sir.
woke. Stay loving.
Stay woke.
Love you, bro.